The white removal vans spotted on the gravel drive of Royal Lodge aren't just moving furniture. They are moving history. They are dismantling a life. For 22 years, Prince Andrew has treated the 30-room mansion in Windsor Great Park not just as a home, but as a fortress, a symbol of his untouchable status within the House of Windsor. That symbol is being packed into cardboard boxes. The definitive end of an era has arrived, and it is arriving with the ruthless efficiency of a court order. We have confirmed that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor faces a hard vacate deadline of January 25th. That is the date the keys change hands. That is the date the siege officially ends. Insiders close to the York camp are describing the mood inside the lodge as funeral. The former Duke is reportedly repulsed by the reality of his forced relocation. He isn't moving to a cottage. He is being moved to a containment unit. The renovation project at Marsh Farm has been described by security experts as fortress-like. It is surveilled. It is isolated. It is a downgrade of humiliating proportions. But while the physical walls are closing in at Windsor, a much more dangerous legal storm is brewing across the Atlantic, one that makes an eviction notice look like a birthday card. Because while Andrew worries about where his velvet chairs will go, the Department of Justice in the United States is sitting on a cache of documents that could dismantle the monarchy's reputation for a century. Before we dive into the catastrophic legal news, we have to talk about the personal collapse. The isolation of Prince Andrew is now total. For years, we were told that the York unit was unbreakable. We were told that no matter what the world said, his daughters stood by him. That wall has crumbled. A catastrophic fracture has occurred within the dynasty. Reports are now confirming the unthinkable. Princess Eugenie has severed contact with her father. This is the nuclear option. Eugenie was the bridge. She was the peacemaker. But sources indicate her refusal to visit Royal Lodge at Christmas was a calculated message. She is not just busy. She is absent. She has disengaged. The breakdown in communication marks the total collapse of Andrew's once staunch support system. He is navigating this eviction and the looming legal threats in unprecedented social isolation. The phone isn't ringing. The visits have stopped. And frankly, considering what is about to come out of the US courts, you can hardly blame her for running for the hills. If you enjoy our deep dives into the reality behind the palace PR machine, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to Royal Family Daily. We don't just read the headlines, we investigate the cover-ups. Now, to the cover-up that should have every transparency advocate screaming. The Epstein Files Transparency Act was supposed to be the sunlight that disinfected this entire mess. It was supposed to expose the network. But a devastating blow has just been struck in the Southern District of New York. US District Judge Paul Engelmeyer has ruled that he lacks the jurisdiction to appoint a special master for the Jeffrey Epstein files. This sounds like boring legalese, but let me translate what that actually means. It means the bottleneck stays closed. It means the slow walk continues. By refusing to appoint a special master, an independent authority to review the files, the court has effectively handed control back to the very people who have been hiding these secrets for decades. It stalls the process. It buys time. And time is the one thing Prince Andrew is desperate for. Here is the scale of what they are hiding. The Department of Justice has admitted on the record, to sitting on a staggering cache of over 1.1 million undiscovered documents. 1.1 million. That is not a file folder. That is a library of corruption. And it's not just paperwork. The admission includes the existence of high-resolution photographs. Think about that. High-resolution photos from the archives of a man who used blackmail as his primary currency. Officials are citing redaction complexities as the reason for the delay. They say it takes too long to blur the faces of innocent bystanders. That is the official line. But legal experts and survivors view this as a tactical blockade. This is a delay designed to protect. You don't sit on 1.1 million documents because you are worried about formatting. You sit on them because they contain an insurance policy. These archives implicate high-ranking associates, figures far more powerful than just a disgraced British duke. But Andrew is right in the centre of the blast radius. Recently, the media went into a frenzy over Doe 174. The name was trending, the speculation was rampant, and then the identity was resolved in court filings with no allegations of wrongdoing attached to that specific individual. The media shrugged and moved on. That was the trick. The focus on Doe 174 was a diversion. While everyone was looking at that one name, they ignored the rest of the tranche. In those same documents, the name Prince Andrew or the Duke of York appears in explicit references over 70 times. 70. We are talking about sworn testimony. We are talking about specific, nauseating details. The files contain references to the infamous puppet incident at the New York mansion. If you know, you know. It is a detail so specific, so bizarre, and so chilling that it defies invention. The documents also highlight requests for inappropriate friends sent directly to Ghislaine Maxwell. These aren't vague allusions to a man who attended a dinner party. These are receipts of a man deeply embedded in the operation. The DOJ knows this. The royal family knows this. And the blockade on those 1.1 million files is the only thing keeping the full, high-resolution truth from the public eye. But the cover-up isn't just happening in Washington. It is happening in London. Investigative researcher and royal biographer Andrew Loney is fighting a war that most people don't even know exists. Loney has exposed a parallel government cover-up in the UK. He hasn't just been ignored, he has been stonewalled. He reports a systematic refusal of over 100 Freedom of Information requests regarding Prince Andrew. What are they hiding? It's not just about the parties. The blockade specifically obscures Andrew's entanglement with Christopher Yang. This is a name you need to know. Yang is a businessman who was excluded from entering Britain on national security grounds. He was deemed a threat to the state, and yet Prince Andrew was dealing with him. The implication here is terrifying. It suggests that during the Duke's tenure as a trade envoy, he wasn't just embarrassing the nation, he was posing a state-level risk. The government isn't protecting a prince's reputation anymore. They are protecting their own negligence in allowing a loose cannon to compromise national security. The walls are closing in financially too. The Bank of Mum is closed. The Queen is gone. And King Charles has tightened the noose. The removal of private security funding was the final signal. Andrew is exposed. Without the Met Police protection and without the monarch's private funding, he cannot sustain his lifestyle. He cannot sustain his legal defences. This brings us to the Bahrain solution. We are hearing credible reports that Andrew is brokering a sanctuary deal in the Middle East. This isn't a vacation. This is exile. Sources suggest that high-level talks are underway to position Bahrain as a permanent solution. The King's team knows that William is the future, and Prince William has zero tolerance for his uncle. The strategy is clear. Remove the vocal loose cannon from the UK entirely before William's eventual accession. If Andrew stays in Britain, he is a target. If he goes to Bahrain, he is a guest of the state, far away from the paparazzi lenses and the High Court writs. But can he survive the move? The psychological toll of this multi-front collapse is alarming the King's inner circle. It is rare for us to hear about the royal family's mental health in such stark terms, but reports suggest Princess Anne, the toughest of them all, is issuing warnings. She has reportedly told the king that the firm discipline strategy is pushing the 65-year-old toward a breaking point. We are seeing the stripping of all titles. We are seeing the removal of the prince styling in official capacities. He is being erased while he is still alive. Anne reportedly fears this is pushing him toward a mental health crisis from which there is no recovery. A man who defined his entire existence by his rank is being told he is nobody. And a nobody with 1.1 million incriminating documents hanging over his head is a dangerous thing. And how is he surviving right now? How does a man with no income and millions in legal bills pay for anything? Deep scrutiny of Andrew's finances reveals opaque structures that should raise red flags at every regulatory agency in the UK. We have tracked suspicious lifeline payments, specifically a sum of £60,500 routed through a company called Alphabet Capital. This money didn't come from a standard investment. It came from figures linked to collapsed firms. These transactions are murky. They raise critical questions. Is the former Duke surviving on dark money? Is he calling in favours owed from his time brokering deals between Kazakh political figures and Swiss entities? When you look at the sale of his Sunning Hill Park home, sold for millions over the asking price to a Kazakh oligarch, you see a pattern. Andrew has always survived on the grey market of international influence, but now that he has no influence, he is just a liability. The removal vans at Royal Lodge are the visual representation of a man being deleted. January 25th is the deadline, but the real deadline is hidden in a judge's chambers in New York, buried under 1.1 million files that the DOJ is fighting tooth and nail to keep suppressed. The king wants him in Bahrain, the public wants him in court, and his family just wants him to disappear. The tragedy of Prince Andrew is not that he fell from grace. It's that he dragged the dignity of the crown down with him, and the cover-up required to save the institution might end up causing more damage than the crime itself. We will be watching that January 25th deadline, and we will be watching the Southern District of New York. As soon as those files leak, and they will leak, we will bring you the truth. Make sure you are subscribed to Royal Family Daily. The era of silence is over. We'll see you in the next video.